Hello friends and welcome to TechnoSage. So in this video we will talk about how we can create the SUSE Linux. So right now we will be discussing on the SUSE Linux, and in the upcoming videos we will discuss how we can install the RHEL. So right now we will discuss how we can install the SUSE Linux on our VMware ESXI server. As you can see on the screen, I have this vSphere client. What I will do, I will right click on my server on the host, and in the new virtual machine wizard I will select the typical configuration. So now I will give my name as SUSE, and the flavor that I'm going to install for the SUSE is SUSE 12 SP3. So I will just name it accordingly, so it's just for my understanding and nothing else. So now here it's asking me for the resource pool. I'll keep it as it is. I'm not going to change anything here. And now so for my host, these two storages are attached. So I'll select either of the one. For you, it could be like multiple, it could be one. So it depends on on your company what storage they are actually attaching to your host. So right now I have two storages attached to my host. I'll select any of them and give next. And now it's asking me to give the details of the guest operating system. Since I'm creating the virtual machine of Linux flavor, so I'll select Linux, and here I will select the flavor of the Linux what I am installing. So I'm not installing RHEL, I'm installing SUSE 12 SP3, so I'll give SUSE 12 like SUSE Linux Enterprise 12. So like, is this option really needed? So it's just the information that you are passing to your virtual machine, it's nothing else. Just hit next. So now it's asking me to give the NIC. Okay, 1 I'll just keep it as 1. Private network, okay, fine. And now it is asking me how much virtual disk space I need to give. So instead of giving, see, out of 278 I need to select. By default it is coming as 16 GB. I'll select 40 GB. Is it thick provision or thin? I'll select thin provision. Now to understand what is thick and thin, I have created a video on how to create the new virtual machine on VMware ESXI server. There I have explained what is thick and thin provision. You can check the description link where you can get the link for that video, and there you can able to understand the thick and thin provisioning. So right now I'm not explaining in this video. I'll give next here and proceed further. I will click on edit the virtual machine settings and will give continue. Now here I will verify the memory size, in the sense it is RAM actually. So instead of giving 1 GB, I will give okay, 16 GB, and CPU I'm not gonna touch. Okay, I'll just give 2 sockets and 2 cores. That means octa-core. So here, not octa-core, but the 4 core. I'll give finish here now. So now you can see that the virtual machine has been created up. What I will do, I will go to the edit settings first, and in the edit settings I will go to the options and then to the boot options. So there I will give the force BIOS setup as I'll just stick on to the force BIOS setup, which says the next time the virtual machine boots, force entry into the BIOS setup screen. So since there is no OS installed in my virtual machine, I will take on to this so that whenever the system boots, it goes to the BIOS setup screen. So I'll give the power on delay as like 200 milliseconds and will hit OK. So why I'm selecting all these options, you can see, you can check the virtual machine create virtual machine video to understand better. Now what I will do, I will go and select open console. So this is my console where I will be putting the ISO for the SUSE Linux SP3 12 SP3, and now what I will do, I will power on. the virtual machine. So it's getting powered on. So now you can see what I have given the option is to just enter into the BIOS screen once the system boots up. So you can see the similar thing happening here. So now I have boot this system and it's going to the BIOS screen first. So what I will do, I will first attach the ISO here, CD drive, and then connect to the ISO local disk. I have the local disk attached. I have the local ISO in my system. So I'll select the ISO, I'll go to the ISO and SLES, and I will select the SUSE 12 SP3. So now I can verify it. See, you can see a tick mark over here, and now you can see that it has been attached. That my ISO is now attached to the virtual machine. Now I will go to the BIOS screen, and under the boot options, what I will do, with the help of Shift and plus, I will make the CD-ROM drive up so that when the system boots, directly it will read all the ISO from the CD-ROM itself. And now go to exit, OK, and yes, enter and yes. So now you can see that the system restarted and it has gone to the it has read the SUSE ISO, and now you can see there are multiple options boot from the hard disk. So we don't have any ISO or any SUSE OS in this virtual machine, so it will do no actions, like it won't boot anything from the hard disk. Next one is the installation. Obviously I need to install SUSE Linux, so I'll just select this option, installation. Third one was upgrade. So obviously I'm not upgrading my SUSE Linux, I'm installing freshly. So the second option was installation. I have selected that. It's loading up the Linux kernel, doing all that stuff. And now it is loading up. You can see here it is coming as SUSE Linux Enterprise 12 SP3, and the files are loading up. So I will be covering everything in this video. If you people feel that it's going too long, you can skip some sections and can continue from the remaining sections. I'm not gonna skip this video at any point of time so as to cover the end-to-end flow of how we can install the SUSE Linux Enterprise, keeping in mind that a person might not be aware of any step here. So if you people feel that it's going too long, so you can skip a portion and can continue from where you feel you need the installation information. So now it's installing, initializing, sorry. So now it has initialized. Now first of all it's asking me what all language I need to keep for my SUSE Linux. Okay, by default I'm keeping as in English US. There are a lot of options available to select. The keyboard layout, again English US, and now the license agreement. I'll click on to I agree the license agreement terms and will go next. So now it is initializing network configuration. Obviously by default there is no network configured, like the host name, DNS, routing. I can give everything here. So like we have Windows where during the installation we can give the host name, or after the installation also we can give the host name and IP addresses. Similarly, in the SUSE Linux or the Linux, we can give now also during the installation, or we can give later also. So right now I'm not giving any information here. I'm keeping everything by default. So I'll give next. So it is probing the system. And it is asking for the registration here, that do you want to register via the SUSE account, or you just want to skip the registration. I'll click on skip registration as of now. See here you can see a tab called network configuration. So if you feel that okay, I have skipped the network configuration but I need to do the network configuration, you can still do on the network registration page. So here I'll just show you how you can configure. I'm not configuring here, but I'll show you how to configure so as to cover everything here. So if you go to the host name, there you can give your host name. Like by default it is coming as Linux, so the host name for this machine, if it is installed, is Linux. So you can keep the host name as what you want. Here is the domain name. The domain name you will get from your company in which you are trying to install the SUSE, the virtual machine for the SUSE. So host name, and this is the domain name. This is the name server, and this is the domain search server. Okay. Then we have the routing. Routing means the IP4 gateway or the IP6. If you are using IP6, you can enter IP6. If you're using IP4, you can give the IP4 information and can select the device like LO or whatever, and then can select the enable IP4 forwarding. In the overview, just select this itself and give edit option. Now when you give the edit option, you can see statically assigned IP and dynamically assigned dynamic addresses. So if I select the dynamic address, then what will happen is an IP will automatically be assigned from the DHCP site. And if I'm giving the statical assigned IP, I can assign the IP of my choice or the IP what my company is actually providing me. So I'll give the IP address, the subnet mask I can change, the host name obviously it is, you can change it here also. The better advice is you can change there on the host name portion, and then can save this section. So right now I'm not changing anything here, and obviously in the general also you can check if the firewall is installed, the firewall not installed, you want to switch off the firewall or whatever you want to do. So here you can see the device name, so it by default will be it, and you can go next and it will save all the network card information. Right now, because I'm not doing anything, I'm not configuring any network here, I'll just give cancel and I'll give abort here, or I'll give next here, no problem. Abort means it will just abort the whole installation process, so better be careful about this abort button. So right now, yes, we have already selected the option called skip registration. I'll go next. So now it is asking me to add on products. So what I can do is either I can go next and can install my SUSE Linux, my SUSE 12 SP3 Linux with the standard products that it is offering us. Or if I want to add something, some add-on products, I can select this. I would like to install add-on products. Okay. And then I have to specify from where I need to install these add-on products, either through a specific URL or through a CD or DVD, hard disk, USB, local directory, local ISO image, or whatever. So right now I'm not adding any additional products. Obviously I'm not adding, so I'll not select this. Okay, and we'll give next now. So now it is asking me for the system role. So system role, if you see by default the system role, it is saying the default system will be GNOME environment with btrfs/partition, separate/home partition for disk larger than 20 GB. If you want to select this KVM one, Then you can select this KVM virtualization host. If you want to select the Zen virtualization host, you can select this. But by default, we are keeping the default system only. So what default system will give? It will give the root partition with BTRFS, not the XFS and all. So next one will be slash home, which will be an XFS partition. So I'll give next, and you can see these all are the partition that has been created by default. You can still edit these partitions. How you can edit these partitions? See, there is an option called edit proportional settings. You click the edit proportional settings and it will ask me that what type of settings I want to propose, either the partition based proposal or LVM based proposal or encryption based proposal. Okay, so here I'll give the partition based proposal. I'll just keep as simple as possible. This is the partition based proposal, and here, because I already mentioned that the root partition, the slash partition was BTRFS, I can select ext4 xfs and what all. So here you can see it's a home partition. Home partition also I can change. By default was xfs. So right now I'm not changing, so I'll just give cancel here. Now there is an option called create partition setup. If I click here, what it will show me that I have a disk, a hard disk, which is a SCSI disk of 40 GB. Obviously, when I was creating the virtual machine, I have given the virtual disk as hard disk as 40 GB. So here also it is saying that I have a 40 GB of disk, a VM virtual disk. So what I can do, I can just select it and I can continue. So it will just create one single partition called /dev/sda, or I can do the custom partitioning. Custom partitioning in the sense, see, I'll just show you. I have created next, and if you can see that this is dev/sda 40 GB of single disk. What I can do, I can right click and there will be an option called add partition. So if I compare it from the Windows, so you have a disk and now you are creating partition out of that disk, and that partition could be the E drive, the F drive, the G drive, the C drive. So here also a single virtual disk which is of 40 GB. I'm just creating a partition. How? By right clicking and selecting the option called add partition. Now if I add the partition, it is saying that the new partition would be the primary or the extended. I'm not extending any partition here. I'm just giving the primary partition. Okay, I'll give next. And now it is saying me, obviously it's a new partition. The maximum size, obviously it's 30 GB. I'm not giving the whole 30 GB. I'll give like out of 40, I'll give like 20 GB. So I have given the 20 GB of the space. Now I'll give next. So it is asking me that what information you want to give on this 20 GB, either the operating system, data, swap, raw. I'll give okay, I'll keep operating system on this and give next. So now obviously it is, so by default what was that? By default the mount point for slash was BTRFS. So now I can give like ext4 or ext2, extfat, anything. So what I have given is that my root should be, instead of BTRFS that was by default, I should keep it as ext4. Okay, so now my file system for my mount point is ext4, which is of 20 GB, correct? Okay. It's saying do not format. I'm not giving anything, encrypt data, nothing. I'm just keeping it as simple as possible. So now I have created a partition out of my 40 GB disk of ext4 on root. Okay, now I will give finish. So now you can see that out of this 40 GB, 20 GB is allocated for my slash mount point. Okay, if I compare it from the Windows, so I can say that out of my 40 GB hard disk, 20 GB of my space is now being given to an NTFS volume of C drive. Correct? It's like the same thing. Now I have still 20 GB left. What I'll do, I'll again go add partition, and this time I'm not going to give the slash. I'll give any other partition. I'll give next. uh, I'll keep it as like it's like 20 GB, right? So I'll keep it as like 15 GB and give next. And we'll give like data or anything. Okay, I'll give data because obviously operating system should be one. And now the mount point, I can select anyone out of these. So by default, I'm keeping as home. So I am giving the standard one. It should, my standard Linux should have a root, that means a slash and then slash home and then the swap. So root is already selected, slash home is this. I'll give as okay, I'll give this one also a ext4 and give finish. Okay, and now next one, add partition, primary partition again, maximum size, okay, I'll keep it as 4.99 because now this is the only thing that is remaining. I'll give next, and now I will keep it as swap, next, swap, and then finish. So now my entire 40 GB of disk is been, you can see, has been dropped down to a root, a slash home, and a swap. So this is the custom partition, that the expert level partition, that instead of selecting slash and slash home for BTRFS and another thing, I have created my own, you can say, partition out of my hard disk. I'll accept, and you can now see everything has refreshed, and now I have just three partitions because I have added the proposal and I've created the partition setup. Hit next. So now it will ask me for clock and time zone. Since I am in India, I'll select India here. For India, it's okay. By default, it's selected Kathmandu. Okay. So now you can see I have clicked on India, and the region is Asia and time zone is Kolkata. Okay. I can still, on other settings, if I go, I can change the current time, current date, and anything. I'm not doing anything here. Just I have selected the time region, automatically clocks are ticked, and now I will click on next. So since by default a user will be root, as what we have seen that the Windows have administrator, in Linux we have an administrator called as root, which has all the privileges like of the administrator. So another user I can create while I am installing the Linux, or I can skip the user creation. If I can create like a user, it will not be having the same privileges as that of root or the administrator. So I will create another user. Okay, I'll create a test user. Its full name is test, username is test, password I'll keep anything, and it's saying use this password system administrator. No, I'll not keep, obviously. I'll hit next, and now it is asking me that what password for root you want to keep. I'll give another different password for root. Obviously I should not keep both password as same, and now I will give next. So it is giving me all the information what I have selected. So it's saying that this is the software, this is the booting option, then there is firewall and SSH settings. So firewall will be enabled, like if your project requires you to disable the firewall, you can click on to this option and it will disable the firewall. Now you can see the firewall disable and enable, like this. Then we have the SSH service, enable or disable. If you click, it will disable, or by default the SSH service will be enabled. Now you have crash dump and default target, system settings, and anything. So if you want to refresh your mind, you can select any of the option here. Okay, now click on to install. So it is asking me for the confirmation. I'll give install, because if you're unsure of the settings, you can still go back from that window. Now there is no going back. You can either go next or abort. So we will wait for the installation to complete. I am again saying that I am not skipping or stopping this video. This video will be obviously be very long. So if you want to skip any portion of this video, you can skip and continue from the remaining portion. So 77% is done installation. Still some installation is left. I'll let it continue. 81 now. So now it's done 100% and it's asking me the system reboot or the number is going on. I'm not touching anything. The system is rebooted. And now you can see again, uh, this time instead of selecting the installation, I'll select boot from the hard disk because obviously now my SUSE has been installed successfully. I'll click on boot from my hard disk and you can see the highlighted entry executed automatically in 2 seconds. Obviously the SUSE 12SP3 will be loaded up. So it's booting SLES 12SP3. And now the SUSE machine is starting up. Okay, so you can see that I have created a user which is other than the root user named as test. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll instead of logging in with the test user, I'll directly log in with the root user. Next, and I'll give the password. And you can see that my SUSE Linux is ready to be used. I'll just right click I'll click on to open terminal, and there I can check my host name. See, it's coming as Linux and 1x something something. It's a junk value because I haven't changed it in the host name. That I can change also later on, like now also I can change uh, with the help of some commands, or that's a separate topic that we can discuss later also. And if config to check the IP that I've configured. So obviously right now I have not configured any IP, so it's not giving me any information. So, and if you want to see cat etc and os release, hit enter. It will give all the information, what type of SLES, that means name is SLES, version is 12sp3, version is 12.3, obviously 12sp3. So it will give all the information that what is the OS and or the flavor for the Linux and what is the version for that. So in this way you can create your own virtual machine with SUSE Linux flavor. I hope you like this video. Please do let us know in the comment section. Uh, Subscribe to our channel, hit the like button. Thank you so much for watching, guys.